Welcome to the 150th episode of the Album Anniversary Podcast. Yeah, I've done a couple more, but episode 150, kind of exciting. Today's show is about Disappear by PFR. It was released July 3rd, 2001, and is celebrating a 25-year anniversary. I'm your host, Caleb, or Caleb the Spy is what I go by on social media. And every day on social media, I do my best to post about what I call album anniversaries. So, on the Album Anniversary Podcast, we take a look at a classic album, an album we love, or an album that's important to us. Today, I am joined by a very, very special guest. Mark Nash from PFR joined the show to talk with me about this album. They've recently done a Kickstarter on it. PFR is going back to this one. He's going to talk about the new record, all sorts of fun things. Before we jump into that, I got to say it, episode 150, very exciting. I know I've done more with Patreon and bonus episodes and other things, but pretty excited to get episode 150 out. Thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging around. Hope you enjoy this interview, and we'll talk to you later. So welcome to the show, Mark Nash of PFR. Super excited to sit down and talk with you.
Man, thanks for having me. Yeah, looking forward to this.
I'm really excited about this record. You guys have been delving into this record. So this is, I think, on you guys' mind. I did have on my schedule Them or this record because Them also celebrates a 30-year anniversary, I think, this year. So right around the same time of the year. So that's pretty exciting. Two records. And then we have covered Great Lengths on the show before, back when it celebrated a 30-year anniversary. So nice. We are a PFR show when it comes up on the calendar. So,
well, we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I keep on, it's funny too for me, again, being a Minnesota person, we talked about this a little bit, like we run into people. I always have we've claimed you guys so hard. We tried so hard to just claim you. It's always fun when other people who are not Minnesota related, like, I love PFR. And I'm like, yeah, you did. You did love our Minnesota band.
I know. It really is. Like, we're the same way. Like, we're so proud to be from Minnesota and just to have our roots there. And when we first signed, we signed to a record company that was in Nashville, and every record they tried to get us to move down to Nashville because it's easier for them to control, right?
Yeah.
And we really stuck to our guns of like staying in Minneapolis, and we just feel like that was such a huge part of who we are and who we were, and just shaped everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're just like, I'm so grateful growing up there when I did.
Yeah, I love it. It gets cold, but I don't want to move unless I'm absolutely forced to for work, but we're gonna fight that. All of our families here too. I'd be the son-in-law and son who took grandchildren. I'd be ostracized. So
yeah, can't have that.
Yeah. So we had one of the guys from the Elms on, Tom. He was their guitar player, and he made a comment about like, when artists are on, is it this like weird experience for them to look back? So I have started to do this. I want to go through some things from 2000, 2001, just to kind of get, because like the world was so much different 25 years ago. Yeah. So I'm going to run through just a couple things from 2000, 2001, and then I have a follow-up question. So like putting ourselves back in that mindset, just for context, in 2000, the biggest news stories are things like Y2K and how it really did nothing. The dot-com bubble burst. We had an election in 2000. The Elian Gonzalez story was a huge moment in 2000. The human genome map was going on. And then this one's a kind of terrifying one. Vladimir Putin was elected back in 2000. So that's kind of some stuff going on in 2000. In the music industry, you've got the Marshall Mathers LP by Eminem is the biggest record. The Beatles released #1, which was also a big one. Yeah. Other things on the charts, Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory, the Backstreet Boys, Britney Spears and NSYNC are all there. Coldplay and U2 make a top 10. So that's kind of some of the big things in music in 2000. And I know this album was released in the middle, right in the middle of 2001. So in 2001, it's a weird thing to look at because all the big news stories from 2001 are after this record comes out
Yeah.
because it's all 9/11 and going forward. But a couple things from 2001 that are also a little interesting. iTunes and Wikipedia both launch in January of
Yeah.
2001. And this is where we start to see the decline of Napster. So that's kind of another thing that's kind of going on in the music business in 2001. Pink had a big record. Shakira, let's see, Alicia Keys. The biggest one that's kind of on the rock side is you've got one from System of a Down, Creed, and then Blink 182. Oh, Nickelback also. So again, it's still kind of that
Does
pop
that count?
music. I have a child who likes to troll me and be like, "Dad, Nickelback is my favorite band," and I'm like, he's like, "I know, I'm out of the will." But
That,
so for you guys and for you specifically, like put us back in 2000, 2001, like what feels most important to you back then? Like it's a different world 25 years ago. Where's your kind
yeah.
of your head at in 2000, 2001?
Yeah, so for me personally, I was working at Squint Records, Squint Entertainment, I think is what it was called, as the A&R guy there. So I kind of had a front row seat to all this stuff that was happening in the music side of things.
Yeah.
And we were watching it change in real time because
Yeah.
at that time, we had Sixpence and Chevelle at that time.
Yeah.
And, so there was a lot of heat on this little boutique independent record label.
Yeah.
And in 2000, and then really yeah, so I would say mid and 2000, definitely into 2001, we were starting to see the decline of the industry in real time.
Huh.
Like we kind of watched it sort of peak in 99, and then you'd get the SoundScan reports every week, and you could just slowly see these dips
Hmm.
across the board in record sales. Um, and so that was like now with 25 years hindsight, I can kind of look back and be like, oh, wow, we didn't necessarily, we couldn't see enough, 5, 6 years ahead.
Right.
But it's like now, again, looking in the rear view, it's like, oh yeah, we had a front row seat to watching this whole thing change.
Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of, yeah. So that, as far as me personally, that's what I was, knee deep in.
Yeah.
And then as the band, we were just starting to sort of reconnect and um, have these conversations about making some new music again. Because
Yeah.
our first record came out, you'll know this better than I do. Our first record came out in 92,
I think so.
92. Yeah. And then we cranked out like 4 or 5 records real quick and then shut things down in 97.
Yep.
And then started, I want to say we did this. So at Squint, we put out a compilation record for this book called Roaring Lambs.
Yeah.
And it, again, that might have been like 99, I want to say, something like
I think
that.
I have it. Hold on. I'll look
Yeah.
it up while you
Yeah.
you keep on
But
going.
so I was at Squint and I was helping work on that record and helping A&R and put that together. And that's when Joel and Patrick and I started reconnecting.
Yeah.
And I hit him up like, hey, should we do it? Would you guys be interested in doing a song for this thing? And we did, and worked with our producer Jimmy Sloas, and it just was like we had so much fun, and that spark was still there, and so that lit the fire to have the next conversation. And I want to
Yeah.
say that song was the single on that record, and it might have done okay, maybe.
It was
Again,
Kingdom Come.
Kingdom Come. Yeah.
Yep, in 2000. And I think it was either that one, and I wonder if Steve Taylor's Shortstop was the another one that got pushed because those were
Yeah.
both like you guys were back, right? Like I
Yeah.
mean, Steve hadn't done anything in a little bit,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
so that I wonder if that was part of the attraction to it too.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. So that record sort of led into the conversation of like, man, this is really fun.
Yeah.
We love each other. what would it look like if we did a full record?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it led to that, but there was, I think what's really unique about, well, there's a whole lot that's unique. We'll get to the actual impact of Squint in a second, because that's
Hmm.
a huge impact on this record. But I think what's kind of cool is you guys do the record with Squint. So one of the big things that's different, you mentioned earlier, the record label that you had signed with down in Nashville, that Vero is, or
Yeah.
Vireo?
Vireo. Yeah, um, that was an imprint that Brown Bannister had with
Yes.
Sparrow Records,
Okay.
right? So the first record, it was really positioned as a Vireo project.
Hmm.
And then I want to say by the second record, I think the little logo was always on product,
Sure.
but it was basically Sparrow.
Okay.
By the time, what was this, Goldies,
Yeah.
it was basically we were a Sparrow artist. And then around the time our third record, Great Lengths, came out, EMI had purchased
Right.
Sparrow, so they kind of came in and yeah,
Yeah. Because all of them still get that imprint. And I will say, if
yeah,
you go look at that imprint on Discogs, there's like 35 records on that imprint. And I think you guys are like well over half of them. So like it was
yeah,
interesting. I couldn't, for a long time, I couldn't figure out. I was like, was this just a PFR? Because now it's so common, right? People do all their own
yeah,
record labels all the time. And I was
yeah,
like, and then I was
yeah,
like, no, Brown Bannister's involved. I don't know what's going
yeah.
on here.
Yeah, it was a Brown thing. So it was basically, yeah, Brown having a boutique label because
Yeah.
he was on fire at the time. So
Yeah.
um and so yeah, it was really his a joint venture between him and Sparrow. But it was everybody that worked the record, as far as promotion, radio, it was Sparrow.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't Brown didn't have a team of people. Um, we
Hmm.
just we just went through the Sparrow system and they slapped that little V on there.
Nice. So that's one of the biggest changes, right? This is the first record not there. This
Hmm.
is
Yep.
with Squint.
Yep.
So like, and I know because you guys have recently done this, so there's a lot of information on the Kickstarter. If somebody wants to read this, it's there. And so like, it was kind of one of those things, right? Just reaching out to saying like, you actually asked for time off from Squint to like go do this, and Steve was like, well, why would you do that? I mean, that's kind of how the conversation went, right?
That's my memory of it. Yeah. As we've
It's in
as
stone
we've
now.
as we've this last year and doing the Kickstarter for Disappear and we've all three had memories that we thought were like set in stone and then found out very quickly not to be the case. So
Yeah.
I'm now starting all my caveats like it's what I remember. There's a chance I could be making this up, but yeah, I do remember the three of us decided like, man, let's do something. I went
Yeah.
to Steve, said, hey, can I get some time off to do this or do this on the side? And he was like, why don't we? He was very kind and very enthusiastic about like, no, let's do it on Squint and have a
Yeah.
proper budget and
Yeah.
because again, like I said, that was in a season where there was a lot of energy around the label, and so we were like, man, this could be a good, we wanted to be together
Yeah.
and make a record. We felt like we had something to say again, and then, lastly, it was like, all right, here's at the beginning of the project, it was like, man, there could be some muscle behind this if we can make a decent record.
Yeah. And did it feel different, right? It was 4 years off. It's a new record label. You guys are 4 years older, and I think it was about four, because right, 97 you guys broke up. And
Yeah,
so
yeah, something like that.
3, 4 years. I mean, did it feel different, or did it just feel like we're just jumping back in the saddle and man, this feels great again?
Yeah, yes and yes. It it felt different. Well, it felt the same in that again, we still had that, whatever that thing that the three of us, when we get in the same room,
Yeah.
we could still feel that. And again, Jimmy, our producer, was like, it's that energy is still there. So
Yeah.
right, so that felt the same. And obviously, we had a bunch of experience making records in the past where we could kind of jump off that. Like we knew what we were doing a bit more
Yeah.
on this one. And so yeah, so it did feel the same. It was a little different in that I was also the A&R guy of the
Sure.
project, so my role was a little different
Hmm.
on this one, and it didn't. I want to say we had a little more time
Hmm.
to make the record than we had on the records we did on Sparrow,
Yeah.
because those were always, man, it would be like, you guys have 3 weeks and then get
Yeah.
back out on the road. So we never, like, for all those that first batch or
Yeah.
version one of the band, like we were never at a mix. Like
Hmm.
we would just get our parts done, go back on the road, and Jimmy would kind of finish the record, mix it. We would, a couple months later, we would get a cassette in a FedEx at a hotel, and it's like, here's your record.
Right.
So this time with Disappear, it was the first time we were really involved. Like we
Hmm.
were all hands on,
Nice.
which was great. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, even just in the 90s, the not just like your recording cycle, but like the album cycle was so much faster. Like there's
oof,
so you guys were putting out a record like if you went 2 years, people were like, what did you break
yeah,
up? What's going on? Like, why haven't put out another record?"
yeah. I don't think we did. I want to say we probably put one out almost every year.
I can look it up. It's hold on, I have
That's
it up
why all
here.
the records are 30 minutes long because we,
I just feel like it was such a thing where like now, yeah, Pray for Rain is 92, Goldie's Last Day is 93, Great Lengths is 94, and then you guys really slowed down and Them is 96. Took a whole like 2 years there. Although Great
yeah,
Lengths is December of 94.
yeah,
So it's not like you barely took any time before you jumped in a
yeah,
year and a half in between them.
yeah. Well, that's so the reason why there was a little more space between those two records is because, like I mentioned earlier, EMI bought
Hmm.
Sparrow and they looked at the catalog and they wanted to try and break somebody, you know,
Yeah.
in the air quotes mainstream, right? And so they saw Great Lengths and they were like, let's do this record.
Hmm.
And they tried to break us in the UK first. So we were
Yeah.
over there touring a lot. Like we would be over there for like 3 weeks at a time.
Hmm.
And so that expanded the Great Lengths cycle a bit. I think if that wouldn't have happened, we would have
Been on the
probably
same schedule.
we probably wouldn't have shut things down,
Hmm.
but because it was very taxing on
Right.
everybody. Yeah,
Well, not just touring, but like being touring continentally, I would add is a
yeah,
whole other dynamic to it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are so many aspects of it. It was like some of the best times of my life. Like for
Hmm.
me, speaking for me personally, and we played some really cool shows, and
Yeah.
it was awesome. But the industry over there is so different. It's
Yeah.
like they work a single, and it comes out on a day, and if it doesn't get picked up by BBC, the next day you're on a flight home, and
Hmm.
you like all the months of work are just completely done.
Wow.
So we were on a flight home the next day.
Oh, that's a
but
bummer.
but we got to, yeah, we played Reading Festival, which was
Hmm.
awesome.
That's a
And
big one. Yeah.
yeah, it was like we played, and then in the next tent over, it was the first Foo Fighters show.
Okay. That's
So got to
crazy.
see the Foos, and I think Smashing Pumpkins were that day. So yeah, we got to do a lot of cool stuff like that. So,
Yeah. So speaking of stuff that was like the same for this record, right? So
hmm
we'll jump back to Squint, I promise. But so you've mentioned Jimmy as your producer, Jimmy Lee Solis is how I want to say the last Souls?
Slows.
Slows. Okay.
Yeah.
So probably
Like he's Slows.
I'm Slows if you
Yeah,
listen to
yeah.
me pronounce stuff. He is the lead singer. He was the lead singer or one of the lead singers for the Imperials for a number of years. As a
Yeah.
studio musician, he has over 400 projects if you look at Discogs. So he is
Yep.
prolific. He's produced Whiteheart, Jeff Moore in the Distance. He's also had his hand in some of the Switchfoot stuff. And you
Yeah.
guys worked with him multiple times. What would always bring you back to working with him?
Well, he discovered us,
Hmm.
um, and he, man, we can't do any we can't make music without Jimmy. We can't do anything. So he's a part of the band. I mean, he's a
Oh.
part of our DNA. We would not exist if it wasn't for him.
Hmm.
And he taught us how to be a band. He taught us how to record.
Hmm.
He taught us how to edit, how to write.
Hmm.
Um, if you listen to the stuff we had recorded pre Jimmy and then those same songs post Jimmy, it will fully answer the question of why we keep using Jimmy and how critical he is to us.
Yeah.
He really helped shape us
Hmm.
into what we became.
Yeah.
And so now, like, we just finished making a new record,
Yeah.
and he was definitely involved in producing, but there were moments where he couldn't make it. And
Hmm.
and now, we've worked with him so much, and we know if he's not in the room and it's just the three of us and an engineer or whatever, and we get to there's some equation we have to solve. It's the first thing is like, what would Jimmy say?
Hmm.
And then we all sit there and we look up and we're like, okay, Jimmy would say this, and this.
Yeah.
And then we just go ahead and do that.
Hmm.
And yeah,
That's awesome.
he's critical.
And you mentioned him being a part of the band. I think the other thing that just has to be said about what makes PFR special, in my opinion, is it's the three of you, right? And it
Hmm.
always has been the three of you since 92. And I know there was some stuff before that, but like from
Yeah.
92 on. So like is that part of it for you guys too? Like I think at the concert somebody made the comment of family. Like
Yeah.
this isn't just friends who get together, but like there's a bond that goes way beyond just being in a band at this point.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's something deeper than family, but if there is, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Um, we've walked through so much stuff together.
Hmm.
Amazing stuff, really difficult stuff.
Yeah.
After maybe kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but it sort of ties in with what you're talking about is um, there was not a great ending to the disappear cycle, which we'll
Yeah.
get into. And when that happened, we sort of all just went, it kind of splintered this thing.
Okay.
And we all just went in separate directions. And then there was a period where we were a little estranged
Hmm.
from each other. And it wasn't great.
Hmm.
And then about 4 or 5 years ago, we started reconnecting again.
Hmm.
And we're able to heal a bunch of that stuff. So it's hopefully this answers your question. And now we're in this space now where we feel closer and stronger than ever.
Hmm.
And it really is something, there is something when we get in, for some reason, when the three of us get in a room and especially like when we start playing, like we still feel that thing and other people have noticed it too. It's like, okay, there's something in the air when you guys get together and play because we come from
Yeah.
three totally different backgrounds,
Hmm.
and in our initial inspirations as kids were three totally different um, conversations, but
Really?
there's just something that happened. So yeah, so we're at a space right now where like kind of the number one intention for anything we do, first and foremost, is like just to get under the same roof together.
Right.
Like what can we do so we can be together, see each other,
Yeah.
because again, we're in three different states.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I want to get back to inspirations in a second because
Yeah.
I always like seeing how that shows up on a record. But
Hmm.
let's get the elephant out of the room and let's talk about the Squint demise, because obviously you just mentioned it. One of my so this comes out. You guys are this was on the Kickstarter. You guys are at dinner and get the call that like Squint is done. So this is the last record ever put out by Squint, as far as I know,
Yeah.
and it just was over. And there was you talked about going. Was there some conversation about like, well, let's try and find another record label, or was this just so devastating that it was just I'm out, I'm out.
Yeah. It was. Yeah. It was not fun. We were on. So this is one of the things I learned that I didn't get right timeline wise when we did the Kickstarter. So the record came out. We were doing a 3 week promotional tour,
Hmm.
and it was probably one of the more intense itineraries we ever had. We were doing
Hmm.
like 4 events a day.
Yeah.
Um, and the record had come out, and it was on that promotional tour a few days later, or maybe a week later, that, yeah, we were, again, my memory tells me that we were at dinner, and I think it was in Chicago.
Hmm.
And yeah, I get a call from Steve, and he said the parent company, because Squint had been, I think Squint had been purchased a couple times, had
Hmm.
sort of changed hands once or twice, right? It was
Yeah.
originally under Word, and then Gaylord, and then there might have been a Warner Brothers involvement or something. There
Sure.
just was a lot of moving and shaking in a very short amount of time. And yeah, I we were at dinner, and yeah, I got the phone call, and we had to get in the bus,
Hmm.
and Steve said, bless his heart, he said, he was like, I packed up your office, I've got all your stuff. It was literally like, you guys get out by
Yeah.
5 o'clock, in Nashville,
Yeah.
out of our offices. So yeah, so we just turned the bus around, and that was it. And everybody flew home, and yeah, it was painful because there were pretty significant conversations of really going all in on this,
Hmm. Yeah.
and making some serious commitments, and everybody had families,
Yeah.
and so you know, getting the families involved and saying like, yeah, well, let's, we're going to allow you guys to go out and do this. And so this wasn't like, hey, let's make a record and throw it out and see what happens. Like
Right.
we had some pretty big intentions of like giving it our all.
Yeah.
And for that to get completely, to get our knees swiped out the week the record came out,
Yeah.
it stung, I think. And Joel has said this a couple of times, is like, there might have been a little PTSD from that,
For sure.
just like really getting our heart broken,
Yeah.
uh, you know, and yeah, so it was done. It was like, there's no radio publicity, there's no marketing, there's no nothing. So it just was kind of like the record sat, and it was crickets. And then I think all the product got shipped back somewhere, and yeah, so, and we couldn't take it anywhere else. It was all tied up.
Yeah.
I don't remember the specifics of, well, my memories of the specifics of the reasons why it exploded, I'm not gonna,
For sure.
just in case I'm super wrong
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
that.
You're all good.
But it wasn't, it was very complicated, and it wasn't a fun thing for anybody.
Yeah.
So for a long time, just all of that just was caught up in all the corporate stuff. So yeah, we couldn't take it
Hmm.
at that time. We couldn't take it and just be like, let's jump ship. They just
Right.
were like, the parent company was like, no, you guys are done across the board.
I mean, I even heard the rumor that like they pulled stuff off the shelves, which
That's what I think.
is crazy to me, because you would imagine like a bookstore, like I'm thinking about a Christian bookstore or Best Buy, like they paid for it, but yet they kind of gotta ship it back. Or I mean, and again, I've never worked in the music industry, so I don't know how
Yeah.
that works. But that seems crazy that you can't even let it sit on the shelves and be sold. But
Yeah.
like,
I
yeah,
yeah, I thought that was the case, but again, I could be. Let's give some room for me to be
Sure.
wrong on that. But it was because I know we shipped. There was a decent amount that was shipped, and a lot of people just didn't hear about it.
Yeah.
It really didn't get a chance.
Well, yeah.
Um,
If you're not getting any push from your record label, like
yeah.
it's just it's gonna sit there. I know I still have a CD. I don't.
Hey.
I have this one. I literally dropped it right before we started recording because I was moving too many things. I was like, oh, poor CD. But
Yeah.
and for you, this wasn't just like the band, but this is like a job, and like this. So
Yeah.
this is even more. I mean, talk about PTSD. Like
Yeah.
even for you, like this is even more like earth shattering. Sprint breaking up or dissolving.
Yeah. 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 It was a very complicated situation. Yeah. I because of some a little bit of inside information, I knew that that things weren't totally
Hmm.
awesome, kind of like
Sure.
right at the very, very end.
Yeah.
Um, but was hoping things would get sorted out.
Yeah.
And it was a very quick decision by the corporate folks that
I've
were,
been there. I've been there.
yeah,
I
yeah,
still am. I'm kind of recovering from one a couple years ago where we love your work. We love your work. Your contract's up in a month.
yeah,
Okay, I
yeah,
better find something quick, and it's
yeah,
just holy
absolutely.
cow. Yeah,
Yeah, so it was, yeah, for me personally, it was pretty painful losing the band and the job.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and then I think I had to tell there were a couple people from the label at that dinner, and so
Oh
I had to.
man.
I
Oh,
my memory is I think I was like, hey, so yeah,
holy cow. That's it, man. I don't even want to think about that stuff. All right, back to happy thoughts. This is so the
yeah.
happy thoughts of this is
Well, there's a good. It ends up being a good story. I think there is a good ending to it.
well, and part of that the Kickstarter, right? Steve somehow gets you guys back to this. You guys, because you guys have
Yeah.
just shipped out a whole bunch of stuff. I know a couple people who got products sent to them, and were
Yep.
you guys have been shipping that stuff out. And
Yep.
so, what was the kind of the inspiration to come back to this and do the Kickstarter for this?
Yeah. So 2009, 2010, Steve called me and he said, "Hey, man, somehow I've ended up with the masters of Disappear. Like
Mm-hmm.
of all the Squint stuff and it all, Sixpence stuff went one way, Chevelle went
Oh
one
man.
way, Burlap, everybody just kind of went. I think we had Waterdeep at the time,
Oh.
so it all just got splintered, right? Somehow, and I don't know how, Steve ended up when everything fell, Steve ended up owning the Masters to Disappear, and he
Hmm.
was like, "Man, I've got all this stuff. We have the same attorney," and he was like, "I called Denise. I had her write something up. I'm giving you guys the record," and so he gave us ownership of everything and just signed everything over to us,
Huh.
which is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Steve is a good friend and amazing, amazing guy. So from since 2010, this thing's been sitting in my closet. Like
Hmm.
literally all the tapes, all the like all of it, all the documentation,
Wow.
all of it. I've just been carting this thing around for years. And then as we've sort of reconnected in the last 4 or 5 years, um, there was kind of a conversation of like, hey, we own this. Maybe one day we put this out.
Hmm.
Um, and just finding the right timing. And
Yeah.
then in 2023, as we started writing for a new record, and that was really starting to take shape. At this point, you couldn't find Disappear on anywhere, like not
No.
on streaming. It wasn't up on this. It's not up. It still
Yeah.
currently isn't up on the streaming platforms. Um, some dude ripped it on YouTube. That's the only place you
There's
could
a lot
listen
of
to it,
those. Yeah.
right? But you couldn't find it anywhere. So um, we had always kicked around the idea of re-releasing it, and also most importantly remastering it because
Hmm.
we weren't happy with how it got mastered in the
Hmm.
first place. It was, to our ear, it was like super distorted, and which
Sure.
is was kind of the thing in the early 2000s of like the loudness wars and trying to
Yeah.
get your record louder than everybody else. And the guy we used, who's a lovely, amazing dude, it just was way too aggressive and way too
Hmm.
distorted. So we had always wanted to remaster it.
Hmm.
Um, and so as we were sort of seeing the new record take some shape, there was a conversation of like, man, we should try and get the disappear thing out first,
Hmm.
just to reintroduce that as a part of
Yeah.
the story, make it available. Um, and then, so the Kickstarter thing, it was just a bunch of conversations just sort of merging into one idea. And over the last year, we met some really amazing people, um, named John and Tanya, who said, we'll help you, whatever you guys need,
Sure.
just to, because we're boneheads, and again,
Well,
in
you
three
also have
different states.
full-time jobs and
Yeah,
all
and
sorts
we're
of other
trying
things.
to, yeah, people are
Yeah.
trying to take care of families. But anyways, so we had these two amazing people step forward and say, we'll help you run this Kickstarter thing.
Hmm.
And so that was the idea, of just like, let's try and get this, reintroduce this with the new remaster. And
Yeah.
we got this guy, Ted Jensen, who's this like world famous. He's one of the greatest mastering guys to ever do it.
Hmm.
He's done like Hotel California and most of the Police records, and he moved his main studios here in Nashville, and a buddy of mine is his manager. So it was a very easy connection.
Yeah.
And I'll go into the place and walk in the hallway, and there's just stacks of like original Springsteen master tapes because
Oh
he's
my
like
goodness.
remastering Springsteen's full catalog. Or one day I was standing at the front desk and I picked up an old reel, and it was the original Psycho Killer
Oh my
Talking
gosh.
Heads. And I quickly just set it back
Yeah.
down.
That's
So that's
exactly what I
kind
was
of,
thinking is I
yeah,
just don't
yeah,
want to bump anything. Oh
yeah,
my
yeah,
god.
yeah.
I don't want this to show up on America's Funniest Home Videos.
So that's who we're, just absolutely fortunate
Yeah.
enough to have in our backyard. And he just, of course, he just crushed this remaster. Like, we're hearing stuff we forgot about.
Hmm.
It's just
Nice.
it's really dimensional now.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so that was very long-winded. But yeah, that's kind of the origin story of
Kind of getting it
all
going
of
on the
this.
Kickstarter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
getting it going, getting it out. It's a way to, reintroduce this to a bunch of people. Um, and one of Joel's daughters, Hallie, had picked up the record a few years ago and listened to it and was like, "This is really good," and she's
Yeah.
in her mid 20s ish, or sorry, Hallie. Um, but she's it's a younger generation, and she heard this record sort of without anything, anything surrounded by it. Was like, this still holds up.
Yeah.
And so that was very encouraging to us to be able to kind of put a good cap, a positive cap to the end of this story,
Yeah.
um, that had a
Absolutely.
weird middle had a weird middle section.
Yeah.
Act two of the story was a little,
Hit her
little
rocky.
dark.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Did you guys enjoy the process of it in the sense of like so Reese Roper from Five Iron Frenzy was on the show and he was talking about what
Hmm.
they enjoyed about it is you got a little community even. Like it is people investing in the process.
Oh
Like
yeah,
was that like is that encouraging and is that something that you because they knew I know there's potentially new music here coming. Are you guys
yeah,
thinking about kind of wrapping the new one in the Kickstarter and just again allowing fans to buy in and essentially help as much
yeah,
as they can?
yeah. It 1,000% in that it's amazing to reconnect or connect with this
Hmm.
community. And that's a bit of a hurdle for us right now, is like, how do we reach out to the people that were familiar and fans of us back in the 90s?
Yeah.
um, how do we find those people? And definitely this Kickstarter was a huge way in doing that, and super helpful. And we're just insanely grateful to everybody that jumped in, and we're really excited. So yeah, that's been great, and that's still just an ongoing work in progress of like figuring out new ways to like
Yeah.
reconnect with people. As far as the new record, we're not going to do a Kickstarter
Okay.
because it was a little, this is self-funded, this new
Sure.
record. And I had done Kickstarters in the past for
Mm.
other artists, and it nearly killed me.
Not everyone
It's a,
has had a great experience.
it's a,
I've
it's
heard a
a
couple.
lot
Yeah.
of, it's a lot of hard work. And again, shout out to John and Tanya, who ran this whole thing and took that off our shoulders.
Yeah.
So when we started, when we were getting ready to like, hey, we're ready to start hitting record on this new record, we didn't know John and Tanya yet, or we had
Hmm.
met them in the past, but we hadn't reconnected with them in the way that we have now. So I was like, I can't. We just don't have the infrastructure to pull off a Kickstarter at that time. So
Yeah.
we did for the new record, we started with GoFundMe.
Hmm.
And so it feels like, and we want to honor those people that really jumped in first with
Yeah.
not really a big ask in return. It was like, just, you know,
Yep.
we're going to try and treat them right, the best way we can with this new record. But it would feel, I think we've all talked about it, and it wouldn't feel fair to those amazing people,
Yeah.
those GoFundMe people, if we were like, okay, now we're going to do a Kickstarter around this thing.
Sure.
It's just like, so that's the
Yeah.
answer to that. So,
And there is a financial cost to Kickstarter. You don't. It's if
oh
you
yeah,
raise $100, you don't get $100.
right, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
that's the other
yeah,
thing is if it's already self-funded and
yeah,
the finances are mostly secure, I'll assume, then it's like,
yeah,
well, yeah, there's an advantage to not doing it that way.
yeah. I think so. I think so. And we'll figure out some way to make product. We definitely, on the new record,
Yeah.
we'll definitely make. See, people want CDs, man. It's crazy.
It's coming back.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll definitely make physical product on the new thing, but we'll have to figure out another way to do
Yeah.
that.
I love going to Goodwill. It's one of my
Yeah,
I bought 10 CDs for $1. If I wanted to
I
get
know.
10 vinyls, that would be, I would have to 10 vinyls or the mortgage.
Yeah,
Make a
yeah.
decision, so. It's really cool to hear, Joel's daughter talk about how like this holds up and like
Hmm.
how like, hey, with even without out of context of just this is good. And we talked a little bit about like those influences. So
Hmm.
what are your influences, and maybe Patrick's and Joel's too, but like how do you guys think those show up on this record in particular? Because I think this record also does feel a little unique to the rest
Yeah,
of the catalog. But like, how do those influences start to come through on this record?
yeah. It's this one is a little different. I think if anybody has listened to every record we put out, we hope that people recognize there's a different sort of palette
Yeah,
to each one. Like we always wanted to do something different, right?
yeah.
And grow and not make the next, not double
Not
up on
everybody
on
can
a
be
thing
Bad Religion and do 17 of the
and do
same
the same
records.
thing,
And I
right?
love
Yeah,
Bad
yeah,
Religion, just so we're
yeah,
clear.
yeah. But we always, it's all, when we do a record, eventually it was like, okay, we want to take a pretty, we want to swerve in a different direction,
Yeah,
still keep the sort of the PFR DNA in there
Yeah,
somewhere,
absolutely.
but we want to explore some things. So I think with disappear, well, just briefly going back to our influences, we've answered this question a few times, so I feel fairly safe I can speak for Joel and Patrick.
That's
But
fine. They're good.
yeah, I mean, I grew up in Minneapolis uh, in the '80s, around kind of the,
Husker
of
Du and the
course.
Replacements.
Yep, yep.
There you go.
Those were my guys. Like I used to go see. I saw Husker Du on a sidewalk,
I love it.
and
Love it.
but as a kid, I obviously it was I started playing drums, listening to Rush
Hmm.
and Journey and all that stuff. And but my formative years, I my first band I was in like fifth grade, and we were playing. We were trying to play Rush, and the guitar player's older brother just stopped us. He was significantly older and stopped us, sat us down, and played us Chronic Town from REM, and then everything changed, right? So and then after that played us Replacements. So that was my
Yeah.
influence, kind of that Minneapolis punk thing.
Yeah.
Patrick grew up more in like British Invasion
Hmm.
stuff. Was sort of his cornerstone, and Aerosmith was a big thing. So that's where kind of
Okay.
more the hard rock element. Joel was Joel's 5 years older than Patrick and I. So
Okay.
the bands he grew up playing in high school, it was Loverboy, Cheap Trick,
Hmm.
Journey, Van Halen was a big thing.
You guys are all over
Um,
the place. It's great.
all over the place, which is great. But I think if you know that this is our DNA, and then also like when I first met Joel, he and I met at this camp up in northern Minnesota, and he would sit down with an acoustic and just bust out a James Taylor tune
Hmm.
in a way that I've never seen anybody do. So he has that side too, which is insane.
Yeah.
And one of the greatest singers ever. And Patrick, those guys are two of the best vocalists out there. So that's kind of our DNA, right? So when you kind of put all those weird things together, that's somehow it works
Yeah.
with us, right? And when we first started in the late '80s, early '90s, we were also throwing, and this is what Jimmy did to cut out, but it was like if you hear those early demos, you could tell we were listening to way too much Living Color. Um, there's a lot of weird stuff going on.
I kind of want to hear
Uh,
this now.
I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you. So, anyways, that was our influences growing up, and
Hmm.
then so there were a few bands that that were connections for the three of us, right?
Sure.
Crowded House, The Police, Queen,
Hmm.
Jellyfish and Crowded House were probably the two biggies.
Hmm.
And this band called the Posies. So those
Okay.
those were the things that we could all three of us were like, this is our blueprint of
Hmm.
what we're gonna do. And then cutting to Disappear, I think the influences, I don't know, I'm trying to think. It's like I'm trying to think back on some of the songs. It's like there's a song Gone that might be a little more like Fountains of Wayne
Hmm.
type, which is a thing we shared, and that kind of comes out of a little bit of a power pop scene.
Yeah.
There's a song that we all wrote together called Me that I brought in. That little guitar riff was a thing that I brought in,
Hmm.
and everybody kind of finished it. That was just a pure trying to rip off 1979 by the Pumpkins.
Sure.
So it was like we were sort of taking there was some late '90s, early 2000s stuff that was happening that we were trying to, it was just stuff we were listening to.
Yeah.
And at that time, there was sort of modern alternative rock radio, that was definitely a thing, Stone Temple
Yeah.
Pilots. So yeah, we were definitely listening to those kind of records, and I feel like that you can hear some threads and Disappear.
Yeah. So this is really interesting. I think the comparison I hear a lot, and it's probably really, really tied into great lengths, is the Beatles, right? A lot of
Yeah,
people like to make reference to the Beatles, but you haven't mentioned the Beatles. So was it just the like, yeah, they're an influence because they're an influence to everybody. Like, if you
yeah,
make
of
music, it's
course,
there. But is it just
absolutely.
kind of almost circumstance of like, hey, when these things get together, when those guys harmonize, because that's I think that's a huge part
Yeah,
of the DNA of the band is the
yeah,
vocal performances there. But like, is
oh
it
yeah,
just kind of like this happens because of all of those, kind
yeah,
of throwing it all in a blender?
absolutely. Yeah, throw everything in the blender of all those different musics that the three of us were that grew up on, right?
Yeah,
That inspired us as kids to in our early adulthood and us meeting each other and what was happening. And yeah, you just pretty much put that all in. And of course, all of those bands that I mentioned are all clearly influenced by the Beatles. You
yeah,
know,
absolutely.
another one I feel like I have to plug is the Rembrandts
Hmm.
were a huge like when you mentioned, you know, Joel and Patrick's vocals are like they're
They're
so
great.
it's so brilliant. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And nobody else can do it like them. But it was the Rembrandts were a real inspiration on there's certain songs where they do this dual harmony. Like they're both kind of singing a lead throughout the whole song.
Yeah.
That's 1,000% Rembrandts.
Hmm. So then you talked about like the writing process, like you brought the lick for you or me. I always get the last two songs confused
Yeah, it's
because there's
me.
me. Okay, me. So is that writing process like is that mostly how it works? Is somebody comes in with an idea? Because I for years I always envisioned the vocals being so much of like the starting spot. But is it like a huge variety, or do you guys kind of have like a working pattern of like, all right, Joel comes with something, you come with something, Patrick comes with something, and then it's sit down together? What does that process usually look like for you guys?
Yeah, it's I want to say it's been a little different on
Hmm,
every project,
nice.
but I would say what it's for the most part, what happens is Joel will come in with a finished idea or
Hmm,
mostly finished idea. Patrick will come in with a finished idea or mostly finished idea.
hmm,
Um, there's certain songs where the two of them will just go off and hammer it
sure.
out, you know, or you know, Joel will have a verse but not a chorus, or you
Hmm,
know, and then I think on the records, like I would bring in like maybe one idea that
okay.
we would at least try to kind of give me a little Ringo moment where I can
That's
at
a good
least
moment.
bring in one. I'll bring in one thing, and then usually, and then you know, those are the ones will, you know, that's definitely more of a group effort, just trying to
Sure.
finish it. I'll just have a little something that seems interesting.
Okay.
Um, so that was the case on Disappear. There were a few of those songs, like Missing Love was a Joel.
Hmm.
Joel wrote that with another guy, I want to say. Or no, maybe Joel wrote that on his own.
I was looking at it
There,
beforehand. I can pull it out too.
yeah. Um, but we did, I want to say we, on Disappear, we did do more collaborative writing. Like me is definitely the four of us
Hmm.
in a hotel room trying to finish that thing. Um, that was very collaborative. Oh, on just I will say this. Yes, okay, I just remembered. We did some writing in Arizona, just the three of us. We took a
Hmm.
week, set everything up. Like Closer was kind of a that was a Joel idea, but we sort of jammed it out
Yeah.
together. Um, um,
That's all three of you are credited on that one, on Closer.
yeah,
Yep.
yep, yeah. So yeah, so any of the ones that are credited with the three of us or us and Jimmy, like those were more kind of jammed out things, which
Okay.
we we were able to do that a little bit on them, but it felt more on Disappear.
Hmm.
We were able to explore that of just like the three of us kind of jamming out. Well, I'll say kind of going back to the early days when we would just be in a basement,
Right.
just yeah,
having
just kind
fun
of,
and figuring it
yeah,
out. Gone
yeah,
is another one that the four of you are credited on as like
yes,
a,
yep, yep, yep,
and I think that's a, I mean, the first three songs are really, really strong, but like
yeah,
that's the one that I feel like that energy just gets so going on that song.
yeah,
It's such a great
yeah.
one.
Well, Amsterdam is definitely a Patrick.
Yes. I
That's
think
a
that's the
Patrick.
only one that he has lead vocals on for
Yeah,
the record.
yeah. But that was one where he had most of that. Oh, dude, I've got to send you the demo to that.
Okay.
It's hilarious. Like the difference between, and again, this is another example of what how important Jimmy
Jimmy
is.
is. Interesting.
Um, because if you hear the demo compared to what ended up on the record, it it's very different.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that was like a primarily Patrick had that.
Yeah. When you look back at this record now, like what is it that you I want to get to legacy a little bit, but like what makes you proud looking back at this record? Like why like again, you've been able to this year you've been able to kind of dive back into it a little
Hmm.
and take a closer look at it. What makes you proud looking back at this record and be like, yeah, these are the things that kind of still excite me to this day.
Yeah, I think yeah, with 25 years and then this new record in our back pocket, I think what I've in which I can recognize, and again, only speaking for myself here. After spending 2 years making this new record, sort of tethering that back to Disappear, I think there's a lot of the work structure that we created in
Nice.
how we made Disappear that we unconsciously kept for this new one.
Hmm.
It was this new one's definitely a lot more collab. We did the same thing. The three of us went up to Minneapolis and we wrote just the three of us together for
Hmm.
a week. Um, and I think there's some of the schematics of how we made Disappear are still working. And so yeah,
Hmm.
I'm proud of that. We had so much fun making that record. And so in revisiting it with the Kickstarter and putting the packaging together and pulling
Right.
out I have all the original contact sheets from the photo shoot. And so getting together and just looking through all of that and revisiting all the weird stories of stuff that happened while we were making that record, it really was it was fun.
Yeah.
And it was in our long story of the ups and downs of our relationship together, again, barring setting aside how the record ended in that moment. Up until there, there was this sort of new wave of healing for us and
Hmm.
reconnecting in a way because we've all gone through, the three of us separately and together, we've gone through so many different stages of life,
Yeah.
and I was in such a different, all three of us were in such different spots of life at that
Yeah.
time. And so we kind of look back at that and, some good, some bad, but we were able to reconnect and again, just kind of do this first wave of healing
Hmm.
in our relationship that I'm proud of. And I look back on Disappear fondly for that.
Yeah.
Because we did a lot of, so we tracked the record in Nashville. So tracking is drums and bass, basically.
Sure.
So we did that in Nashville, and then we did overdubs, which are vocals, guitars, keys. We all went up to Minneapolis because we wanted to, since we were all in three different states, we wanted to do the best we could to sort of spread the process around so that
Hmm.
everybody could be in their home spaces as much as possible. So that's
Yeah.
why we wrote and did pre-production in Arizona, where Patrick is. We tracked drums in Nashville, where I am, and then we did overdubs up in Minnesota, where Joel is. And we spent a couple weeks doing guitars and vocals in the studio that's on like the second or third floor of a spice factory. in this abandoned, like some floors were abandoned. It was basically a horror movie. Um, and so this, just the memories of that are,
Yeah.
and just some really funny, dumb, hilarious, maybe only to us stories that we look back really fondly of.
That's probably the best part of being in a band, right? Is those
Oh,
moments that like
absolutely.
nobody
Yeah,
else gets to be a part of this. This is just ours.
it's
And
ours.
there's no way
And
we could ever communicate it to anyone else.
yep, and we recycled the same inside jokes. You know, we do. It's annoying for anybody that are outside that periphery.
I'm feeling that as part of a podcast. I've made that bad religion joke 1,000 times on this podcast. It's a staple for me.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Stick to the classics.
I want to close down talking about a bit of the legacy. And one of the things that I think for this that stands out to me about why, even though this record had a tragic interruption, I'll say,
Hmm.
is that when you guys did the show in 2023, 2020, 2024, I don't know why I can't get that. I don't know when it was. It was back a couple of years ago.
Time's a flat circle.
Yeah, times up. That's the second time that's come up on the show this month.
Oh, really?
That's crazy. Kylan from Church Jams Now mentioned time is a flat circle. I was like, oh, you guys are so smart. What I thought was interesting about that set is that you guys played 4 songs off this for a
Hmm.
record that of all, I would say it, of all your records, this is probably the least known one. It's probably the
Yeah.
one people were most likely to miss just because of that
Hmm.
timing. That you
Yeah.
guys played Amsterdam, you played Closer, you played Falling, which Falling,
Oh,
I love Falling, and I love that it's so late in the track list. I love a great song late in the track list.
oh,
Blind Man,
me
Deaf
too.
Boy. I
Yep.
love how late it is in great lengths. I love it.
Yep. We've
Um,
always tried to do that. Yes, I want to just, while you're, I don't,
yeah,
sorry to interrupt, but
no,
Falling is one of our favorite songs off that record.
yeah, it's great.
Hands down, hands down. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. But I think that is telling that you guys chose, and Gone is the other one. You guys played
Hmm.
4 songs. You played 4 songs off of Goldie's Last Day. You played 4 songs, played 5 songs off of Great Lengths. And to me, that's telling of the legacy of this record, even though people
Yeah.
didn't. And I'll say it, like you guys, I had a friend who I brought to the show, and he was a Camp Chaminade kid,
Hmm.
and he was not familiar with this record at all. He had just missed it. And at one point, you guys are playing one of these songs, and he's like, "I don't remember this song," and I was like, "You might not." And he's like, "This sounds so amazing," and it just seems to like these songs have grown with you. I feel like I don't know.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but it feels like they still fit. They still fit in the legacy of the band. And as you guys look at this, like, what is the legacy of this record for you guys?
Well, I think with what we've been doing this last year, remastering it and
Yeah.
trying to re-present it to the best way we can, hopefully that legacy is sort of still getting written.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. New
um,
audience.
yeah, if we can, as we start to just sort of slow roll it out, and if we can get people talking about it, hopefully it can maybe have, in whatever form, have
Right.
a small second life, and we can write that last chapter, right,
Hmm.
for this record that is redemptive, or a happy third act. you
Yeah.
know yeah, hopefully that's it, that it's still ongoing. And kind of getting back to, yeah, why we play so many songs off that record, it's still, we didn't get to enjoy it, so we're kind of
Yeah.
rewriting. We're It's a part of the healing process for us, again, to kind of,
Yeah.
not to be super dramatic and using PTSD, but it hurt.
Yeah.
And if we can, by playing those songs and revisiting them, yeah, because we forgot about that material. It's like, man, this stuff is, we really enjoy playing them.
Yeah.
Falling is one of my favorite songs to play. And
Yeah.
um, so there's some, we can sort of hopefully rewrite some code that's attached to, what happened around the release, and just have a nice sort of bookend to this thing. We really poured a lot into it,
Yeah.
and we're super proud of it.
Yeah.
Um,
I love that idea that this can be like getting to, whatever the future for PFR holds. And I'm sure it's really tough working jobs and trying to put out records. And I have a
Yeah,
hard time keeping up with this. And, I can't imagine the actual process of sitting down and trying to do a whole record. So like I do hope that more people get to hear this. I hope there's some more spot dates at some point and you guys are able to play some more of these songs live and the new stuff, obviously. But like,
yeah,
I think it felt, I don't know if cathartic is the word, but it felt kind of cool to hear it and to be like, wow, they got to play 4 songs off this record that, yeah, outside of a very small window,
yeah,
they didn't get to push. And so I love that idea that
yeah,
like 25 years later, getting to represent it is a pretty
yeah.
cool story, I think.
Well, thank you for saying that. And yeah, that's an interesting perspective. You saying that reminds me like that night, the show you're referring to was in Minneapolis at the Fine Line, and there were so many people we talked to that, like you said, either hadn't heard it
Yeah.
or the few people that were able to get their hands on it, they never got to see those songs performed live.
Yeah.
And that we got a lot of feedback of like that was a highlight
Yeah.
for them, or they really enjoyed that. It's
Yeah.
like,
Absolutely.
oh man, finally got to see, this song performed.
Yeah.
And like I said, we still love playing those songs and we're still super proud of them.
Yeah. Well, I hope you guys get to do more, and
Yeah.
I hope you get to do some stuff on the new record. I want to be mindful of your time here. So where is the best spot to find kind of PFR stuff online? Where's the best place to find you if you want to be found? I always give that caveat because some people are
Yeah.
like, I don't want to be found online.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
where can people find stuff? And then sorry, and then
Yeah.
Kickstarter, is there leftover Kickstarter stuff that'll eventually be like if people missed it, because I know that happens,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
people might be able to get to, if that's something for people to look forward to.
Yes. Yes. There is a bunch of product in my closet. My closet seems to be the vault, the PFR
The
vault
PFR vault, I love
for the
it.
time being.
Scrooge McDuck had a vault, and
Yeah.
you do as well.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So we still have a bunch of products. So
Okay,
I I'm not really sure what that's going to look like.
for sure.
We'll definitely sell them at shows. There are some conversations of figuring out at some point in an online store.
Awesome.
Um, but then,
Now
we
you got
have
to
to figure
manage it,
out,
so
yeah, how do we manage that, right?
yeah,
Is a tough time because, anybody that participated in the Kickstarter, if they're listening to this, they know, it was delayed. We were delayed by several months trying, getting product out, which
yeah,
was a bummer, but everybody was super patient with us, and so it was just a reminder of like, okay, we really, taking things slow because there's no management. We're just kind of running this thing on our own at this point. So, but yes, we do have extra product. We will figure out if anybody wants that. And right now, our biggest social media, the best way to stay on top of things is our Instagram, which
yep.
is what
I
is it?
can.
At PFR official
I think
Instagram,
that sounds right.
something like that.
I love we're both jumping for our phones.
Yeah,
This
I
happened
know.
a couple times on the show where you
Yeah,
kind of wish
I
you were
should
visual
know.
media.
I'm kind of the main runner of that thing. I feel like I should probably have that.
PFR underscore band underscore official is what it
Oh,
is.
is the Instagram? Okay, thank you.
Yes, that's the Instagram.
That's probably the best way. We do have a Facebook page. Do we have the email to access it? Not yet. So we're still trying to find that.
I've
But
had that happen with something.
yeah, but I will say, Facebook is, we're trying to reconnect with Facebook. We found it through the Kickstarter. We found out that a majority of the people heard about it through Facebook. So we
Yeah.
need to re-engage with that. And then, yeah, we're just trying to, again, sort of army crawling, figuring out other ways to help spread the word. And, it's these days, it's just grassroots. It's just people reposting, people
Yep.
talking about it. That's the best way to try and get information. But yeah, so we're gonna this summer we'll have depending on when this comes out, we'll disappear. Will get put up on all the
Yep.
streaming platforms, and
I
then the
know that
new
takes
record.
time. Everybody thinks it's
Yeah.
like, oh, you just throw it up there. Why does it take so long? And it's like, nope, it is a
Nope.
process.
Nope. It takes a minute. So yeah, we're in the middle of figuring, working on that. And then the new record will come out in the fall.
Awesome. That's
Yep.
so
And
exciting.
and we do have intentions of playing some dates. We can't, a lot of people ask if we can tour. We can't tour.
No, I can imagine.
Um, Man, it's even, it's hard for bands like full-time bands to tour these days. So,
Yeah,
but we will do, it's looking more like 2027.
for sure.
We will do a Minneapolis date, a Nashville date, and maybe a something closer to the West Coast.
Sure.
Um, so we definitely want to play the new songs, and those are always really fun. Those are our homes,
Yeah,
so it's really fun to play there. And we're definitely, we've definitely committed to making more music.
I love it.
Um, I don't know if we're gonna, it took us 2.5 years to make this record, which we had never had that luxury before.
Yeah.
So we really went in the other direction of just like getting really indulgent. There's a couple of
I think
songs
you're
with,
allowed.
yeah, well, I think maybe just this one. So, but we'll, we might just do like a song at a time. And that's the interesting thing about the music biz right now
Yeah.
is like you can kind of do that. You can drop a song, and just as long as you're just continually putting out stuff,
Yep.
you know, it helps. So
The
yeah, we
EP has
do.
come back too. I think that's a thing that like, hell, we got these 6 songs. We're
Yeah,
not going to be able to get 12 ready
yeah,
in the next
absolutely.
6 months, so we're going with these. And
Yeah.
I think there can be something my favorite release of last year was an EP, and I
Oh,
was
totally. Yeah.
I dug that thing. That was the thing that I went back to over and over and over again,
Yeah.
and I'm happy we got that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And I
yeah.
mean, we're kicking around doing a cover EP.
Oh man.
We've got a really great list that we've worked up over the last
I'm
year.
thinking about
So
those influences and just being like,
yeah,
"Oh man, that'd be
it's
awesome."
basically all of that.
That'd
So
be great. Oh
yeah,
man.
but yeah, that would be super, super fun. And that's something we could do where everybody's got studios, right? So that's
Yeah,
something we don't have to be in the same room for,
which is
but would
amazing.
be really fun.
Yeah.
We've always enjoyed, we've gotten to do a couple of covers in the past, and it's always been really fun. We love doing that stuff.
Yeah. I think you guys have a good sound. That power pop sound is
Hmm.
something that you can mold a lot of things to
Yeah.
that sound. And I think that's how I would describe I think that's how I would describe you guys. You use that phrase, and that's I mean,
Yeah.
I
That's
think it's a
probably the
it's a good
closest.
encapsulation of what you guys are. So,
Yeah.
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 Well, I'm so thankful, and I know a lot of people who are thankful that PFR is that it lives on. That even getting to see this, and I'm super excited to hear the remix, and I'm thankful I still have Mike's CD, and I'm thankful I have all those CDs. I have a neighbor who she was teasing me that some PFR song came up on something streaming for her, and she literally tagged me in on Facebook and was like, "Caleb, did you hear me playing PFR this afternoon in the house?" And I was like, "I'll run over with my CDs right now." So I there's a lot
Uh,
of people who I know are really thankful. So I hope we get more, and I can't say thanks enough for hanging out here
oh man.
for a little bit and talking about this record. I'm glad to spread the word. People need to go check this record out. Find a way to get a hold of it.
Thank you so much. It really does mean a lot. Like you wanting to talk to us about this, and
Yeah.
it's a huge deal. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks so much, Mark, and
Yeah, man.
we are excited to hear more.
Yeah, we'll keep you posted.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Album Anniversary Podcast. I want to say thanks again to Mark for taking some time to talk with me about this record. And man, I really hope people go back and check this record out. Like we said, they are hoping to get this out in onto streaming in early July. They're working on it again. This is just the three guys doing this, outside of their regular jobs. So, and getting stuff on streaming is more complicated than just throwing it up there. So, hopefully it is out very, very soon, but hopefully early July, you'll be able to go check out the new remastered version of this. If you got your Kickstarter stuff, you already got to check it out. But for the rest of folks, easy way to spread the word about this record. So that will be coming out. And then Mark mentioned it a couple times. They've been working on a new record. I think they're hoping for sometime in the fall, which would be awesome. New PFR is just brilliant. Super exciting for those of us who are longtime PFR fans. And I hope it brings new people in. Check out the new stuff, the old stuff. So super exciting. Thanks so much, Mark, for hanging out and talking about this record. I'm still on all the social media: Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, YouTube, Patreon. Patreon isn't a social media, is it? I don't know what it is. I do have a Patreon, $2 a month, one extra show every month, at least one extra show, even more. You can also email me, calebthespypodcast@gmail.com, if you have questions or things you want to talk about with me. Please share and subscribe, share the podcast. Again, I'm not famous, so just spreading the word around this about this podcast as efficiently as I can, and those things do help us, so really appreciate it. Thanks so much for checking the show out, and we'll talk to you soon.